welcome back to a game of Fangs and Thrones. My name's Hannah and this is the 20 questions book tag. Now I have the questions in my little Peter Pan notebook and I'm just going to go through them. You all know how tags work by now. I found this on Jessie at Bows and Books channel, and it was created by Max at Max Reads. So I'm just going to go through these and we'll see what comes up. So first book is, how many books is too many books in a series? For me personally, that depends on the books, because I think Throne of Glass is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books long, and I've enjoyed every single one of them. Game of Thrones as well is another long book, book series, and that's not even finished yet. Then if we're talking about world building, we have the Cassandra Clare books on this shelf just behind me, and to be honest, as long as the authors can continue to write in a way that is engaging, come up with some new and exciting plot lines, keep the audience entertained, I'm here for it. A book series that I thought was too long was the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast. I just think it went on for a little bit too long, and some of the books seemed more filler than anything else. Now I don't mind filler chapters, but I was bored by a couple of the books and had to push myself to finish the series because I'm a completist. So how do you feel about cliffhangers? They frustrate me, but I love them. A cliffhanger, if I'm invested in the book, is a great way to make me want to read on, if it's a cliffhanger at the end of a chapter, or wait impatiently for the next book in the series. So I'm here for cliffhangers if I am invested in the story enough for the cliffhanger to actually make sense and be a cliffhanger to me. Hardcover or paperback? It's a hard one because I do have paperbacks here and I also have hardbacks there. Paperbacks are cheaper, they're easier to read and easier to store, but hardbacks are special, because a lot of my hardbacks do come from book boxes. So I use Fairy Loot, Illumicrate and Bookbox Club, and they normally come signed or with some sort of special edition to them, and whether it's an exclusive cover or the sprayed edges or something like that. So my hardbacks are special, but I don't often buy them myself unless I'm really intrigued enough by them or it's an anticipated sequel. A favourite book? Just one? At the moment I would have to say it's probably The Boy, the Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse, I think it is, by Charlie Mackesy. The very beautiful picture book that is full of just inspiring little quotes that you don't realise you need to hear until you hear them. But yeah, I think that's one that comes to mind at the moment, but ask me again in 3 months' time and that might change. Least favourite book? It's gonna have to be Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. I was bored the whole way through and I was very close to DNFing that one, but I pushed through it and it nearly put me in a slump. So that's that. Love triangles, yes or no? It depends on the characters. I did enjoy the love triangle between in the Hunger Games, but the love triangle in Twilight didn't do it. So it just depends on why the characters can't get together, why they are the way they are. I'm being very articulate this morning. The most recent book you just couldn't finish, The Shadow War by Lindsay Smith. And it's not because it was a bad book, it was just not a book for me because it is very war-based and I don't really do war-based literature. I can read a book set in wartime, but I can't read about the war or a war. A book you're currently is This Golden Flame by Emily Victoria. I have the dust jacket here. This is following the story of Karis, who is looking for her brother Matthias, but in doing so, she wakes up an automaton which the country's ruling group of scribes want to unlock the power. I think that's the general gist of it, and I'm enjoying it so far. I really want to read it again, but we'll concentrate on the tag first. Last book you've recommended to someone, The Shadow War. I recommended it to my sister because she likes her war fiction. She's currently reading that one, and by all accounts she's enjoying it. She is finding it a bit confusing because it is multiple POVs, but she's enjoying it. So that's that. Oldest book you've read by publication date. Oh, I think it would either have to be one of my copies of the Belregard by David Eddings, because I got my copies from my dad and he was reading them as they were released when he was younger. So I think they came out in the 80s, I want to say, but I'm not entirely sure and I can't be bothered to go check. I've also read his editions of The Lord of the Rings and I've got a copy of Dracula. Now my copy of Dracula was published later, but it is a reprint of an older book. Does that count? Newest book you've read by publication date. Just watch my vlog. Watch the vlogs for June, because I'm trying to read my books from subscription boxes, and a lot of them are releases from 2020 or 2021. The latest new book that I've read and enjoyed is All Our Hidden Gifts by Caroline O'Donoghue, and that is a urban fantasy following witches and tarot. So I like that one. Favourite author. It depends on genre, because my favourite author is going to be Terry Pratchett because I enjoy his writing and I constantly return to the Discworld series for a bit of a pick-me-up, and I try to read Hogfather every year. But Sarah J Maas is up there. She's an autobi author, as well as Cassandra Clare. There's just something about their writing that drags me in, even if they are writing for young adults, and I am technically 20. I'm an adult now, I'm 27, but who cares? Read what you want to read. Buying books or borrowing books? Why does it have to be one or the other? I like to buy books because I can own them and they are mine, but at the same time I like borrowing books. As I mentioned in the previous answer, I've borrowed the Belregard from my dad, I've borrowed his Terry Pratchett collection and his Lord of the Rings books. Haven't given them back yet, and I quite often will browse my sister's bookshelves, and she stays in that's her room just there, and she has a small bookshelf, so I quite often just browse her bookshelf to see if there's anything that takes my fancy, and we just sort of rotate the books in this household. A book you dislike that everyone else seems to love. Can I say Wayward Son again? I know that sort of splits opinion, because some people love it, some people hate it. I'm going to say Wayward Son because I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Maybe Low by Alexandra Bracken, because I just didn't vibe with that one as much. Bookmarks or dog ears? Bookmarks. I have a collection. I have these here that live on my TBR trolley, and then I also have, you can't see them, but I have 2 of those little book tins that are filled with bookmarks as well. A book you can always reread. A Hogfather by Terry Pratchett. Anything in a fantasy series. I like rediving into previous worlds. Can you read while hearing music? Yes, I quite often will. I don't know if it counts as music, but I can read while listening to music when we were back in normal times, pre-COVID. I used to travel to work using public transport, and I would have my headphones in on the train and I would be reading. But now I don't need to do that, but I still can't read in silence, so I will put BookTube on. I'll probably put a vlog on. I find Jodie, Becca from Becca in the Books, and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte. Their vlogs are very aesthetically pleasing or they're very soothing. I can read while listening to them, or I will put a TV show on and just let it play away in the background. One POV or multiple POVs? I do like one singular POV stories for modern day contemporary, not that I read a lot of that, so I can get as much information about characters as possible, but on the flip side I do like reading from multiple POVs if it is a high epic fantasy and I need some other perspective to see to make sense of the world and character motivations, but it has to be just right. I can't deal with head hopping where I can't deal with head hopping if it's in the middle of a chapter, or we have so many characters that every chapter is a different person. The exception to that is Game of Thrones, because if you've read the books or seen the series, you know that new characters are introduced and old characters are killed off quite regularly, so it's a bit of so there is a nice mix of old and new there, which gives me perspective on the world and the political events as a whole. 2 more questions. Do you read a book in one sitting or over multiple days? It depends on the book, to be honest. I read Piranesi by Susanna Clarke in a quite short length of time because the writing was engrossing, and it's that kind of book where you have to read it in one sitting, because otherwise if you try to go back to it you will lose the flow, and it is so short. Same with The Boy, the Horse, the Fox and the Mole. Got it right that time. But that one was just because it was so short and there's barely any words to the page. But other books, if it's a fantasy or if it's slightly longer, I do read it over multiple days because I don't have time to just sit and read anymore, which is a shame. And then the last question, who do you tag? Anyone who wants to do this challenge, but I do think it would be nice to return the favour. So a while ago, I think it was for the Not a BookTube newbie tag, Ange from Ange's Book Chatter or Book Corner, she tagged me to do that one through Instagram, and I was also her booktuber shout out, so I'm returning the favour and I am tagging Ange at Ange's Book Chatter to do the 20 questions reader tag. And that's the end of the tag, so that's the end of the video. Big thanks to Max at Max Reads for creating the tag, and obviously for Jessie from Bow Ties and Books for doing the tag so then I could see it and copy. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you want to see this, talk about these, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.